The Panasonic LUMIX Sync app is available on both the iOS and the Android App Store. In this case, we're doing this demonstration on the Android OS for the purpose of connecting and showing the settings for the app. To find the app, go into your App Store, search LUMIX Sync App, and look for the app that has the Panasonic icon that you see here and is simply named Panasonic LUMIX Sync from Panasonic Corporation. Once you have it downloaded, we can then proceed to work with the app itself. From here, I'm going to tap Open, and we're greeted with a simplified menu of options that are currently all grayed out because the camera is not connected to the mobile device. So let's actually connect and walk through the process of getting these two devices synced together. We're going to take a look at my camera now. And the first thing you're going to do is tap the menu button, go into the setup menu, and scroll to the Wi-Fi options. From here, click menu set. Now we're going to do Wi-Fi function, and this will boot the camera into the Wi-Fi connection menu options here. We're going to do new connection. And for this particular case, we're going to do remote shoot and view. You'll see that you're now presented with the SSID of the camera for your mobile device to connect to. So we're going to look back at my mobile device now, and I'm going to swipe down, go into my Wi-Fi settings, and once this finds S5-98505D, in this case, it will be different for your camera. You're going to connect to that network. Since I have already connected once before, it automatically found it connected, and you're prompted with the now open the LUMIX Sync app notification on the camera. So from here, I'm going to go to my home screen, and we're going to open up the LUMIX Sync app. Now, if you don't see the app automatically connect in with the camera, you can tap on the three icons here, click on Wi-Fi connection, Wi-Fi setup. Once you see that it's connected, just swipe back, and now the two will sync together and connect. Now the camera is synced with the mobile device. You'll see in the top right of the display, you have the icon that says the little Wi-Fi icon, which indicates that you are connected to the mobile device. Now, if we look at my mobile device, you'll see that I have the user interface that's very similar to what you have on the actual LUMIX cameras. So for this case, when you tap display, you'll get the ribbon displays on the top and bottom that match what's already on your camera. So everything from your picture style or photo style all the way into the remaining shot count on your SD card are all around the edge of your display. You also have two different drawers here on the side, which allow you to go in and select different settings that may be applicable to the mode that you're in. You'll see that each one by default here is a little different. Now on the bottom of the screen is where you have the display trigger, so this allows you to clear the display or show those icons around. You also have your white balance control, your ISO control. In this case, because I'm in aperture priority, I have my aperture control. If I was in shutter priority, this would just say S, and if I'm in full manual, this says S/F. Next to that, I have my exposure compensation selection, so you can go -5 to +5 EV. And then next to that is the quick menu option. This allows me to select everything that would already be set up on the camera for my custom quick menu, just carbon copied over into the app. So by default, you'll see things like photo styles, saturation, white balance, all the way into aspect ratio and the motion picture recording modes. Now I'm going to tap the back icon. On the bottom of the display, you'll see a playback option, which is the bottom left icon, which allows you to go back and look at the images that are on your on your camera. The middle button is your shutter trigger, and the button to the right is your video start stop button. Now this is the simplified video start stop. So whatever mode you have set up for photography, when you tap this, it will crop into 16:9, so the proper aspect ratio, and then just record the video in whatever mode you have set up. Now on the top is where you have your more fine-tuning settings for this camera. Now since I'm using the S5 for display, you'll see that I have all of the standard selections like photo styles, metering mode, aspect ratio, picture quality, picture size, even the hybrid log photo functionality, which is our proprietary HDR photo capable mode for the camera. This allows you to directly play an HDR file on a hybrid log gamma compatible TV over an HDMI cable from the camera, or in select TVs, play it direct off the SD card. Below that is where you can activate the high resolution mode with all of the same settings that are available in the camera. So the motion blur processing is available, your shutter delay, your normal RAW shot simultaneous, as well as do you want to shoot RAW, JPEG, RAW plus JPEG, or combined. When we go back, you'll see you have your settings for filter settings, which are things like retro, monochrome, low key, high key. Those settings are available here. Then you have your autofocus mode selections. So everything from face and eye detection and animal detection all the way down into pinpoint, one area, and one area plus with the extended functionality that was added in the recent firmware as well. We go back one more time. You'll see below that you have your flash mode, which is forced flash, red eye flash, the different modes that are available by default. Then you have your bracketing functions. This is where you can tap in and say exposure bracketing, aperture bracketing, or focus bracketing. And then below that we have post focus. Post focus is the 4K video function that was added into a number of LUMIX cameras, actually all LUMIX cameras at this point, that allows you to use 4K video for focus racks with the purpose of selecting your focal plane later or combining those images in camera for a stacked image. Below this is where you have your recording quality function for the video capabilities. This is where you can select all the way up to, in the S5's case, Cinema 4K at 60 frames per second, all the way down to 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames per second. Below that, you'll see your NTSC or PAL switch. This lets you select the region that you're going to be working with the camera for different frequencies. And then last, you have the rec file format. This lets you select between MP4, MOV, or other settings that are available on your particular camera. Anything that's available will show up here, such as AVC HD, MP4 HEVC for some of the GH cameras, or just the MOV and MP4 that you see here. Now, one thing that's different with the LUMIX S5 compared to a number of the other cameras that we have on the market is that the LUMIX S5 allows you to also capture time-lapse while using the mobile device, the mobile app. So when we look at the mobile device here, I've got the camera set to time-lapse. You'll see the time-lapse information show on the display just like it does on the back of the camera. But now when I click on those three buttons up here, you'll see that I now have a new menu option called time-lapse/animation. When I tap on this, I can set my start time, my image count, my shooting interval, and even turn on exposure leveling, just as I do on the camera itself. Now, again, this is a feature specifically for the S5 currently that the LUMIX Sync app offers you. So now, let's take a look and go back to the main camera settings here and show you some of the other cool features that this offers. From here, since I'm still connected via Wi-Fi, I can tap Import Images and take a look at all of the images that are on the memory card that's installed in the camera. Now, if you're someone who uses the rating functionality in the camera, you also have the ability to filter based on the ratings that you put in the camera. So I can tap the three buttons here, turn filtering on, And in this case, because by default the Lumix cameras will set ratings to 3 stars, I can say I only want to show images that I have rated in camera as 3 stars, and then tap OK. Once that's done, you see that you're now filtered with only the 3-star items that I had tagged in camera. If I want to send one of these images over to my mobile device, I can just tap on that image. Now, I also have the ability here to select the 3 buttons again and change from a full-size JPEG or RAW, which in this case is large, to also clicking on the format and saving JPEG, RAW plus JPEG, or just RAW. So you have tons of flexibility for which file you want to send over to your mobile device. Once you have that set, all you do is tap on the button on the bottom and it will transfer that file over to your mobile device. So if I go back one more and say you want to send over multiple images, well, here you're just going to tap on Select and then check off which items you want to send over to your device, and then again tap that button on the bottom and it will send those over and you'll get a status indicator with the number count and the remaining time to send those images over. So the last thing I want to show here before we talk about the Bluetooth functionality is the ability to take the mobile app and actually use it by going back into the home screen, tapping on the 3 buttons here, and using the app to actually update your firmware. So now that we have the app connected through my home wireless network to my LUMIX S5, what we're going to do is tap on the 3 buttons in the top, tap on Firmware Update, and then we're going to follow the prompts that are put up on the screen right here to download the current firmware update and get it applied onto the camera. Now with this process, it's going to reach out to the firmware repository that we have online and download it to the mobile device so that we can get it onto the memory card. This will take a varying amount of time depending on your internet connection and the speed to get this over and ready for your camera. So now that the firmware is downloaded, I'm going to tap Update. So now it says power on the camera, set it to Wi-Fi, and it's walking you back through the process to get the two connected. So I'm going to tap Wi-Fi setup. LUMIX Sync is ready, so I can go back. You'll see that I'm connected to the camera. Going to open up the Wi-Fi setup, and now it's searching to make sure that that connection's there, establishing connection, and now it's sending it over to the camera. Now that the file has been sent over to the camera, the process is going to take over automatically over on the device. You'll see the notification here on the actual mobile device itself that says do not operate the camera, and just wait for the process to complete in updating on the camera side and you should be good to go. Now for some of the other functionalities that are in here, you have different things like your Bluetooth setup, so you can see which cameras are registered. So let's jump over and take a look at the Bluetooth connectivity now. Now that we've covered all of the Wi-Fi functionality, let's take a look at the Bluetooth pairing with my S5 and my Android device. So we're going to jump over to my camera, and we're going to click on Menu, go into the Setup menu, go to the In and Out submenu, and then go to Bluetooth. Now before we proceed any further, we're going to open up the Panasonic LUMIX Sync app and click on the question mark in the top left. Now we're going to click on Camera Registration and follow the on-screen instructions. So when you tap Next, it's going to tell you to go into the menu, scroll to the Bluetooth menu in the setup, which we just did. We're going to tap Next, and it's going to say Next, select Pairing in the Set menu. So we'll click Menu Set on the camera and go to Set. Now from here, you'll see that it says Pairing. So we'll press menu set one more time. Now back on the device, we're going to click Next, check the camera's device name, and then tap Next one more time. Now from here, it's going to scan and look for this particular camera, and once it pops up, as it does here, you're going to confirm that those names match and tap on the button one more time. Now from here, it's going to sync the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections across with each other. This is an automated process. You may have to select one option on the mobile device to confirm that you're only doing a temporary Wi-Fi connection between each other, and then we'll go back to the main screen and show you what options you have available to you. Now, as you can see, the camera automatically connected the Wi-Fi with each other, automatically set up and confirmed everything is set up together, and on the mobile device you see that it says the camera has been successfully registered with the app. From here you can just tap OK. Now on the main screen of the LUMIX Sync app, you'll see that the Bluetooth icon is lit up, and all of your main selection icons are available now as well. So from here, this is where you have some really cool functionality with Bluetooth available to you. If you're someone who likes to shoot with a remote, but don't want to work with a tethered remote or a third-party accessory that allows you to do wireless triggering of the camera, you have the ability to tap Shutter Remote Control while connected via Bluetooth and trigger both your video start-stop as well as your stills capture. The cool thing with the stills capture is you can just press it once for a single still, or you can press and pull down for a locked shutter when you're doing some much longer exposure in the bulb setting with manual exposure or shutter priority. Now, the last really cool thing with the Bluetooth from this menu is the ability to save your camera settings from your camera to your mobile device so that you can load them onto a different S5 or save them as a backup for a certain custom setup that you may have. To do that, you're just going to select Camera Settings Copy, and then do Save Settings. With this, it'll save the settings over onto your mobile device. It may take a second up to a minute for it to copy everything over, depending on how complex your camera setup is. The last thing I'm going to show you is actually on the camera menu itself. You'll see right now it's connecting Wi-Fi to transfer all of that information over, and we are now copied and saved over on the mobile device. So the last thing I want to show you is actually in the camera menu for the Bluetooth settings. So if I tap OK on this, if I go back into my main shooting screen here, I'm going to now open up the camera menu, go back into that setup menu, the in-out submenu, and the Bluetooth settings, and click Menu Set. Now from here, you have a couple of different capabilities with Bluetooth on its own. You have the ability to do remote wake up, which allows you to wake the camera up from a sleep state using just the app and Bluetooth, which you can turn on and off. You also have the ability here to say, well, which mode do you want to return from? Do you want it to be import remote priority, or do you want it to be remote shutter priority? So you have some flexibility for how you want the camera to be woken up from the app. The next ones that we're going to cover is location logging. Now this is for those that want to be able to geotag their photos while you're shooting, while utilizing the Bluetooth from your mobile device. All you'll do is tap Menu Set on this and then turn this on. Now if I half press the shutter button here, you'll see in the top right of my display, you have a Bluetooth icon as well as a GPS icon. As long as both of those are solid white, they're active and collecting data for the photos that you want to capture, and the Bluetooth is active. The next thing we're going to do is go back into the menu here, and we're going to scroll down to Auto Clock Set. The cool thing with Auto Clock Set is when you have your camera connected via Bluetooth to your phone, it will set the internal clock based off of the mobile device's internal clock. So this is perfect if you're someone who travels, crosses time zones a lot. So your photos are always in the right correct time zone based on where they were captured. So you can turn this on, and you don't really have to worry about setting the clock in your camera anymore when you change time zones while traveling. The last things I'm going to cover here are the send image to smartphone and the auto transfer functions. With these two particular functions, the app will be able to take those images while you're capturing them and send them over Wi-Fi to your mobile device. The difference between the two, with the auto setup and the send images setup, is one will manually trigger to allow you to connect Wi-Fi and then send the images over that are there. The other will do it while you're capturing. So this gives you some broad flexibility for immediate backup of photos from the camera right into your mobile device, which can be a phone or a tablet, anything that's running a mobile operating system at this point. So that's a brief overview of everything that you can do with the Bluetooth functionality on the LUMIX Sync app and select LUMIX cameras. Now, most of the coverage we did here was with the LUMIX S5, so your camera may have slight differences in the menu and some options may not be available for your particular camera. But the broad range of flexibility and functionality in this app is universal across every LUMIX camera that has Bluetooth and, at bare minimum, Wi-Fi capabilities. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video, and we look forward to providing you more information in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Panasonic.